Hello YouTube, and welcome to a brand new Unity 3D Space Invaders tutorial. So, in this tutorial we should hopefully completely finish it. It should be completely gone and working. So, previous tutorial, I don't know, one of them, we did this entire Space Invaders game, and we made it so there's music, so we can fire, and they can kill us. So as you can see, we lose life. So when we die, because we get a score as well. Boom, we die. Perfect. So what we've got to do still is, if we look at the online reference image, we've got the boss to implement, which we can. We've got the bases to implement, which again we can, it's really easy. And we've got the ship's lives going across, we've got to do that. And credits. There may be high score, I'm not 100% sure if I want to do that. But then that's it, and we've done. We need a winning screen and a losing screen. So it's really simple to do. So the first thing I'm actually going to do is I'm going to look at this base and I'm going to show you how to model it inside Unity, because it's really simple. So if you think about the old-fashioned Space Invaders game, you had a base what looked like so. But then whenever you or your alien would hit it, it would slowly destroy. But then if you fired a line directly through the middle of it, you could carry on shooting through it. So you can't really do this with picture bars, because that's what most people think. Well, you get a cube, like so we use a character, then when you shoot it you change the image. Well, that's all good, but what about if you shoot it in the middle so you can shoot straight up? Then it won't work as well. So the easiest thing to do is to create many small boxes. The more you create, the better it is, the more you create, the laggier it gets. So all I'm going to do is do basic shapes, so like probably 3 across, 3 up kind of thing, but for the base here. And then you'll be able to, when you shoot one of them, you just say it destroys itself. It's that simple, and it's really easy to do as well. So what we're first going to do is I'm going to actually go to my front view, like so I can see, and I'm going to put on all my boundaries so we know where to stop. So I'm going to turn mesh renderer on, and I'll turn console off of here so we have more room. Close tab. Okay, you don't want to close. So what I'm going to do is first just create a standard box, so create a cube. So as you can see, it's a biggish cube, but if we move it back so it's in line with everyone, here, so I believe if we click the row, we can't see anything. Hide this wall, go away, there we are. So if we grab our cube again and position it in the right place, because if it's not the right place then obviously it won't work. So I'm going to decrease the scale of it, the Z scale, just so it's a tiny bit thicker, just so it is able to catch the bullets, and put it roughly there, so it's underneath it. Then when we look at it, it should be right. So if I go to ISO view, so with straight front, and turn this other wall back on, because we need to see our boundaries, then what I can do is begin positioning it and scaling it so it looks nice. Just so it looks like a base. Because if you look at this, the scale of this is roughly 2 of these put together, but without the space. So if I just put this here, as you can see, it's going to be quite long. So I'm going to put it to the half size of this. So it's roughly about there, because then when we put it over top, it looks like a good enough base. So obviously I want the scale of, that's the overall scale. So I'm going to duplicate this and bring it down, and I need to split that up into 3 cubes across. So what I'm going to do is drag it down, and I'm going to literally make a small-ish cube out of it, using the only X and Y scale. So when we put it here, we have 1, 2, 3. So as you can see, pretty much. So if I just scale this next one up a tiny bit, because it doesn't actually matter if they collide. So tiny it up a bit, and then what I can do is delete that one, because that one's wrong. Grab this one again if it lets me. Scale it up again, so the scale of it is 0.4, 0.4 again. Well, 0.5, 0.4, 0.3. That should get you the perfect scale. So then we can put it on, duplicate it again, put it together and then duplicate it again, and then we have a nice looking base. Well, start. Drag it across, grab this one and drag it across again. So, I'm going to hide that background because that's highly annoying. Right, so if we grab this one, turn the lights on, grab that, we've got the main bit, and then I'm going to texture each one of these ones green. So I'm going to go to this and just find our green texture shit, because if you look at it, they're all green. So I'm going to texture every single one green, just like that. So we have the start of it. Then if you look, it's roughly 1.5 up, and then it has the diagonal slope, so we'll say half again. So it's roughly 2 high, 2 of them on top of each other. So if I just grab this and put on like this, then we can see that's 1, and then it's roughly 2. We can shrink it down a little bit, and then that should be the size of our base. So far I've got the X right, now we just need to get the Y part of it right. So I'm going to grab all these cubes and I'm going to duplicate them, Control/Command D, and drag it up, just like so. So now we have roughly the same height. But what I am actually going to do is grab these 3 top ones and shrink it down just a tiny bit, like so. So they become 0.5, 0.3. And the reason I'm doing this is because then we can duplicate these top 3 again, drag them on top, and then literally pull them in so it looks like a kind of base, if you wish. Obviously you could spend hours doing this. You can also make it in a modelling application, but remember, the more cubes you make, the better it'll look. So if I just literally make a new game, get empty game object and put it here, and I'll call this base_1, and I'll stick every single one of these cubes inside base_1. And then what I'll do is I'll grab this bottom cube here and I'll set it to 0, 0, 0. Then I'll call that, well, we'll do the calling later. Then I'll stick this one at 0, 0, 0 and move it across to roughly there, and then we can say it's 0.47. Yeah, 0.47. And then I can grab this one, put it to 0, 0, 0 again, and then make it go across to the end and say it equals 0.94. And then I'm literally doing this just to make it so it's perfectly neat, because then we can just drag it around where we want it. Makes life easier. So I'm going to grab this one and 0, 0, 0, and I'm going to move it above, roughly there, so it goes 0.3 up, and then I can grab this back. Well, I'll move that one up there and that one up there. I probably should have done this first before you all say yes I know. So I'm going to grab this one and go 0, 0, 0, but make it 0.3 up. That was the wrong way. That was the wrong one. And the Y. There we are. And then I can grab the x-axis from this one, 0.47, and move it across. So now it looks right. And then I can do the same for this one, 0.94 on this one, 0.3 on this one, but make this 0. So Z0, 0.3 for the Y. And then it looks like we've got a perfect seamless base, unless you highlight over it. So then I can do the same for these top 3, but these ones are going to be different. So 0, 0, 0, and I'm going to move it up 0.3, but then it needs to be more than 0.3, so 0.6, which is too much, so we'll say 0.5. 0.55, yeah. And I'll do the same for all of them. So 0.55, and then this one, 0.55. I'll grab all 3 of them and make the z-axis 0, so they're all in level, because if they're not level, you'll have ones all the way back, and you don't want that. So that's perfect. Now I'm going to drag this one roughly where it needs to be, so this one needs to be there, and this one needs to be near the end, so because then if you can do this, then you know how much to take off it. So on this x-axis, if we put 0.3, okay, that's a bit much, 0.2, and then grab this one and take 2 off it, so it becomes 987, like so, then we know them 2 are perfectly equal, like so. So we have a base, pretty much. So what I'm going to do is, it's level enough as you can see, is I'm going to start positioning it. So you see, it stretches from the end of them to the end of them, but in a little. Then we need 4 of them. So I'm going to put it roughly here. So it's in a little. Then what I can do is rename all these cubes to base, well, home. Home block, we'll call it home block. And what you got to do is make sure they're all named the same, because then in the collider script all we're going to say is if it hits home block, destroy both. That's it. So I'm going to duplicate it, well, the base, and then move it across. And I'll put it just at the end so we know where it's got to be. So I'll call this one base 4. And then we can duplicate base 4 and move it in, call it base 3, and then we can duplicate base 3 and move it into roughly the middle, base 2. So you could sit playing with the numbers over and over and over again until you get it right, but I think that's good enough for now. So we've got bases, they won't be able to shoot us if we're under that base. But what we have got to make sure is, if you look at this, if the character's under it, he's got to be protected from all angles. So if we play and just hide under it, hopefully we've disabled our background, we need it back on. So put that back on, and we'll hide the 3 walls, and then hopefully when we hide under it, you should be able to see they won't be able to get us. But it's too short, so we need to make them longer. So as you can see, nearly got us then. So what we can do is we've come back into the x-axis again, and we're going to grab base 1, and I'm literally going to play with the x scale and move it up so it stretches. That's it, I'm going to move it to 1.6. And I'm going to do the same for every single one, like so. Then I'm going to start moving them across again, because it's, come on, our game's weird as it is, so may as well play with it and make it better. So I'm going to put it roughly to the edges, and then I'm going to play with these 3 ones and move it a tiny bit. So now, as you can see, we have bases what will actually protect us, but not all the way, whereas on this one it's nearly all the way. So I'm going to grab the x-axis on this one again and move it some more. And the same for this 4 one, move it again, and make it even, and then that should be it. Then I'm just going to stick with wherever it is. So now if we were to play it, we'd be able to hide under it and he won't be able to get us while we're under it. Obviously I want to move it down in a minute. So of course the bullets go through it at the moment, but we need to activate the collision code. So I'm going to grab our bases and move it down, just so when we level it up to the character, you can see he won't be able to get shot. So hopefully. So I got annoyed with it and I expanded it even more, so now it looks a bit more realistic. So the outer edge one, so base 1, is minus 8.4. The base 4 is 8.4, so they're equally even in numbers wise from the centre. Base 3 is 3 and base 2 is minus 3. So now if we look at it, you can see you will be able to easily hide under all of them and it shouldn't get you. So let's begin with our collision script. So to do the collision script is really simple. All we're going to do is go to our main character, or our player, yep, and we're going to find the bullet thing. So bullet, and I'm going to click it, and I'm going to go and get S1 bullet collisions. So, well, SI, Space Invaders collisions. So I'm going to zoom in for you all, because I know you all love that. Actually, no one's actually said whether they like it or not. Tell me below if you like me zooming in or not, I don't know. I don't like it when people say full screen it when you're trying to learn something, because then you can't work at the same time. It's really annoying. But yeah, so what we're going to do here is if bullet.clone, if GameObject.name equals bullet.clone or enemy bullet.clone. Now if you can't remember, basically this is for our player, this is for the enemy. That simple. So I'm going to duplicate this else if here. So if it equals, and then I'm going to copy this and paste it under the enemy one, because that one needs to be at the end if you remember. So if it equals, and I forgot what we called it already, home block. Call it whatever you like, remember. So if it equals home block, easy enough. Then we've got to destroy it. Okay, then what? We need to destroy the bullet as well. So I'm going to duplicate this call.clone and paste it in. So that'll destroy the bullet, not the bullet, that'll destroy yes, that's right, the bullet, I apologise. That'll destroy the bullet, and then this will destroy whatever it hits, because it's call colliding with whatever it hits. Call, destroy what you hit. So then, that's it. That's literally it, I'm not even joking. So if we copy that and paste it down here again, so if it equals the player, or if it equals the home block, it'll destroy it. Easy, right? Because if you remember, the bases don't have multiple lives, they only have one. So when it hits it, it's to destroy it. If the bullet's got a rigid body on, which it does. So hopefully when we play, we'll be able to destroy it. So as you can see, the Z-axis is messed up. So we need to make sure it's in the right Z-axis. As you can see, it's slightly not right. So if we select these 4, and move it in just so it looks like they're going to get hit. You could even, if you really wanted to, as I was saying, is scale it out. Then you're definitely going to get it, and it looks horrible. Let's not scale it out. Let's just stay where it is, yes. Because don't forget our game's 3D because it's cool. So as you can see, you can hit multiple buttons. There you go, look. You can now successfully stay safe. So if I stay under here, click, missed us. Ha ha ha. Yep, see, you can't go us, but once they're gone, that's it, they're gone. And then you can get hit. So there's the bases, as I told you, very, very easy. You can add textures to it if you like, you can even add more cubes. It's whatever you want. If you wanted to add a life system to it, don't worry about it, we'll do it in a shop later, hopefully. Well, I'll show you how to do it now. If you basically want to add a life to it, what you need to do is put a script on all of the houses so they have like life 1 or something. Or decrease the scale, it's up to you, you can do either. But yeah. So now what we're going to do is literally make our lose screen, yeah. So it's really, really simple to do, but I want to make it cool. So, obviously we've done the major aspects of the game, all we need to do is load a level and put, like, buttons on it. So what I'm going to do is duplicate main game scene, after I've saved it, and call it lose game. But I'm going to change it, and I'm going to rename the lose game one to SI lose game, for Space Invaders lose game. And then I'm going to do the same for main game. So what I'm going to do is open up lose game, and you can see at the top it's open, but it's the exact same, we all know that. So what I'm going to do is grab these aliens here, in fact, yeah, grab these aliens and pretty much grab nearly everything. And I'm just going to start deleting things, what we don't want in it. So the aliens we don't want, with the bases we don't want, and the player we don't want. Yeah, all we want is the main camera and the background with no walls. Just like so. Easy enough. We want the music on, but I haven't got any more music, so we're just going to stay with that music. And what we need is basically some buttons. So a button what says, play, well, you lose, retry, or quit. That's it. So there are two ways we can do it. We can either use 3D text, or we can just use GUI interface. Really, really up to you. I'm just going to use a GUI interface, it seems easier. So I'm going to open up our main camera, and I'm going to remove the SI script stats from it. So I'm going to go to our Space Invaders folder, if I can find it, there. And I'm going to duplicate SI stats, and I'm going to rename it to SI_lose. And I'm going to put this one on main camera. There. So we're going to open this up, and we need to keep the skin on it to make it look even. So we don't need any of these scores, but we do need this GUI, and we don't need these updates. So, like we did last time, this will store a skin variable, this will assign the skin variable, so all we need is, here, you lose in big letters. Big, big letters. So right here, I'll simply type, you lose. That's it. The scale and the height I'll turn to 500 by 1000, well, 1000 by 500, and I want it to be roughly in the middle, so it'll stretch across, that's fine. And then here we need a button, so we're going to type if GUI.button rect, I will make it roughly 50 across, but I'll make it 300 down, and then for the size I'll say 100 by 50. Hopefully that'll work. And I'll put retry in it, big letters. And this one will literally load application.load whatever. So I'll put reload, because we'll do that later. We need to make it look nice first. So I'll duplicate that again, and in here I'll put quit. You could add more options if you like, but I'm going to go in for the basic Space Invaders. And we'll say here, quit game. So if you remember, since this is part of another game, quit game will actually just take you back to another game, but I will show you how to quit out of it for those who's just making this. Reload, that'll literally take you back to the level we've just been working on. Easy enough. So let's assign our skin and see what it looks like, because if it looks awful then we need to fix it. So Space Invaders, that's fonts, I'm assigning the wrong thing. Skins, where are you? Here, Space Invaders. So we click play and hopefully it looks nice. You lose, retry quit, we never moved them down. So I want these buttons to be much, much bigger, so we'll say 400 by 250, and I'll move it down by 600. So obviously we need to increase the size of it, we all know that. But this style isn't working for us, so we're going to start, well, skin, we're going to make a GUI style instead. So rename it from GUI skin to GUI style, and get rid of this line here. Then apply this style after every string with a comma, then where it is, even on buttons. I think it works on buttons, yeah. Like so. And then what we can do is modify it directly in the inspector. So as you can see, now we can come to here and literally play with the size without affecting our overall skin. So you can see, at the moment it's not working because it's black text. So we'll make it white text. Now we can see. For the font, I'll assign our Space Invaders one. And I'll turn this font size all the way up. You lose, retry, quit. That's it. For the hover, I'll make it, well, you can't really do it, but in order to make the hover work, you'd need to apply a background, and we don't really have a background. But if we just apply black to it, you can see it works fine. See? So if we apply black to this other one as well, you can see that it's beginning to work. Well, it'll work if you hover over it. So we need to find a decent background we can use which doesn't really show much off. So what I'm going to do in order to actually do this is I'm actually going to set it to the black texture it's got above. But then what I'm going to do is set the background to normal. So if we quit out of that, you'll see everything will just disappear, but we can fix it. So I'm going to set both backgrounds to this black texture thing. And I'm going to rename the text colour to green for the first one, then when you highlight over it, it'll become white, because it looks cool. For the font, I'll assign our Space Invaders one, there, and for the size, I'll set it to 100, just like that. Perfect. So let's go to our background, and I'm going to get rid of this and make it a diffuse. And I'm going to set it to this black one. Then when we click play, you can't see the background. Retry, quit. Perfect. Works fine. So obviously if you highlight over there, it's because you're touching the size of the button. So click, works fine. You lose. So let's move that across a bit and make it red, because it always looks cooler red. But let's not. In order to make it red, we need another style. So we just duplicate it and put label, lab style. We'll fix that in a minute, but we'll move it across to say 200. We'll make that red. These buttons here, we need to decrease the size of dramatically, so we'll say 150 by 150. For reload, we'll simply type application.load level. And in here, I'm pretty sure it is with speech marks, we will type si_main game. So that'll load the main game again. Easy enough. So we need to add it to the build settings, which we'll do in a minute. So I'm going to go back to main camera, and you'll see we get lab style when it loads. There. And I'm going to literally do everything the same, but make it red. Like that. We don't need to apply hover, because it's not having a hover effect on it. Space Invaders, 107, perfect. So we're going to go File, Build Settings. As you can see, we've not added any of them to the build settings yet. So I'm going to scroll up and find our levels, and we'll add SI main game and lose game, just like so. So when we click play, we should be able to load it. So you lose, oh dear, we moved the wrong one. Did we? Yes, we moved the wrong one. So 20, 200. Try again. So as you can see, it looks like a proper old-fashioned Space Invaders game thing now. So when we highlight over it, we have to get pretty close. But I'm going to keep it like that. So you click retry, it loads. Pretty much. But the error we've done is on the background is gone like that. And the reason it's gone like that is the Starry Night skybox was actually originally see-through kind of, so we could see the background. But what we're going to do is actually grab this Starry Night skybox here and reset what it actually was. So we're going to go down to where is it? Skybox, render effects yet. And we need to, well, assign that again, so I'll just do that now. Actually, we only need to assign the front, so let's find the front texture for it. So I'm going to reassign the front texture, which is in textures, and just put it back on. And then you should be able to see that it's not working very well. I can't tell, it's really annoying. So I'm going to assign them all and just make sure they're all right. So I think they're right. So if we click play, we'll load our loading screen. Click quit, you can see it's worked. I clicked the wrong one, retry. It worked, we can now see through it. But what I am going to do is duplicate, well not duplicate, in our textures folder, I've got a Space Invaders one. Where bullet is, I'll duplicate bullet and just put lose. And then what I'll set lose to is the actual texture, and then assign it to this box, like so. So when we do click quit, retry, you can't see it, but then you can see fine. So what all that is the skybox, what's assigned, has transparency on it. That's why you can see straight through it. So this, not that one, but the other one, I can't remember. The skybox has transparency, this black one does not. So in our actual main game, when you clicked it, you could not see through to it, because our main game is behind it. So if you look, there's our thing, but as you can see, our game's actually behind it. So we're looking at it like that, which is weird, but it works, so we're going to keep it like that. No point changing something what works. But yeah, so we've got that, and now we need to load the losing screen. So I'm going to copy the name and go back to the main camera, and we'll get our SI stats one, because on here we've got our life. So here, print you win, print you lose. So here, where it says you lose, I'm going to simply put application.load level SI lose game. That's us lost, pretty much. So we can test it by going shot voluntarily, because everybody loves doing that. So we wait and we need them to shoot us, which could take a while, so I'll get back to you when they kill me. So I just got hit and I'm dead, pretty much. Then we click retry, we're back on it, lose the entire level all over again. Perfect. Of course you lose your score, but you are retrying, so perfect. So let's think what we've got left. We've got winning screen, and they need to move down, which will cause a loading screen eventually. Really simple to do again. So what I'm going to do is duplicate the lose screen, because that's all a win screen basically is. So we'll say win game, and I'll open this one up. I'll add it to the build settings to save us time later. So I'll stick it above lose screen. So this will get very, very long eventually, so just make sure you're doing it. And then we have, if we click play, the lose screen, you lose. So let's change it. So I'm going to go back to our lose script and duplicate it and rename it win. But the scripts are going to say the exact same thing. Why do we need them to say win? I'm going to share a technique. So I'm actually going to delete the lose one, and I'm going to rename it to finish. Just like that. And I'm going to go open into this finish script, and I'm going to add, don't keep your editor, a new string variable. And I'm going to call it var label text, and it'll be called a string. And for the now, it'll equal you lose, because that's what it does on the lose one. But I'm actually going to copy label text and put it in here. So what it'll do is when it'll read this label, is read label text. So it'll either say you win, or if we change it in the inspector, it'll say you lose. There you go. So it's a quick technique. So if we go back to main camera and wait for this to load, we can rename it here to you win, and then click play. So it'll be completely different. You win, perfect. But if we were to quit off it and go back to our lose screen, you would see it would say you lose, because the variable's in the inspector. We can go back and it says the exact same thing, but for the win screen. See, if they're both going to do the same thing, you'll have retry or quit. Retry, it does that. Click quit, it doesn't do that. Really simple. So we're going to add a little thing to justify the difference a little bit more. What I'm actually going to do is go back to our main game, and I'm going to copy one of these aliens. So remember 0.4 size wise. So I'm going to go back to our loose game, and I'm going to stick the alien here so he's kind of laughing at you, if you wish. So I'm going to go to our models folder and find our aliens. So characters, Space Invaders, aliens. And I'll get the most common one, this one, and place it roughly right here. So I'm going to increase the size to 222. And as you can see, I want him to look directly at the camera. And move him out a little bit. And down. So if we click play, you lose. Space Invaders got you. Easy enough. But then I'm going to save it. Going to go back to win game, and literally put the character in the exact same position. So ship, increase the size to 222. Oh dear. I did it again. 222, and I rotate it to look at the camera. You win. So now, when you win, you get this screen. You win. Perfect. Would you want to retry or quit? Retry. Then when we die, I'm just going to skip ahead, we get this game. You lose. Oh dear. Easy enough. So just to make it even, I'm going to put an exclamation mark there. Yeah. So, we've done that. Now we actually need them to move down slowly. Well, actually we need to load the win game first. So let's do that, because that's probably more important. So I'm going to go back to our SI stats again, what we've saved up here. And where it says you win, I'm literally going to paste it here. Copy the application.load and put SI win game. Then when you kill them all, you win the game. Easy enough. So I'm going to go to main camera and click play, because then I can get rid of that quickly. So we've got it, we shoot, click, 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 and if we turn the enemies down to 0, you win. Retry, turn our life down to 0, you lose. Perfect. So we need quit to work. So we're going to go back here to our finish. Now quit game, if you want it to actually quit the game when you export it or anything, you type application.quit, bracket bracket. That'll turn the application off, it'll shut it down completely. I don't think it works on web though, so I'm not sure. But we don't want it to do that. We want it to load the main game again. So I'm going to type application.loadLevel, and here I'm simply going to type the name of our main game, level 1. Obviously we need to do the saving and everything, but when we click quit now, that'll load that level. I'm not going to do it because it's a very, very long level to load. It takes time. But yeah. So, how are we going to make them all move down, and how do we do it? So the first thing we need to do is detect when they hit the side, which we've already got. So if we go to our rows, aliens, and get our SI enemy, right here, if go left, move down, but that's not colliding. This is colliding. If it collides with the left wall, go left, else go right. That's simple. Tick, 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 tick. So we need somehow to call every time it hits one of them to move down. So let's change it. So I'm going to duplicate this go left static variable and type go down, and it'll equal to false. So every time it collides one of these, we'll turn go left equals false, but either way, go down is going to equal true. Just like that. And I'm going to do the exact same thing for this one here. Like so. So every time it comes down, go down equals true. And then up here, so under all this stuff, we'll type if go down, and then you can put equals true if you want, but I'm not going to. I'm getting used to it now. So if go down equals true, then we're going to set go down equals false straight away. Because otherwise it'll keep going down and going down and going down. That's not what we want. And then, if you haven't guessed yet, all we're going to do is grab transform.position.y minus equals 2. That's it. So obviously we need an if statement saying if it gets so far you lose, la da da da. We'll not do it yet, but we'll try it. We need to try it. It's really simple to do. So we click play, and you should see when you bounce it, it should move down 2. Now 2 could be an incredible lot, or could be the tiniest fraction. So as you can see, only one's working. So clearly, our boolean variable's not working, and I'm actually showing you something there. The reason we don't put it as a normal variable, like so, is when we play it, only a few of these are actually ever going to hit that first. Then it's going to tell everyone to carry on. So as you can see, watch. Click. Only a few hit it. So the reason it's doing that is because I accidentally removed that. But yeah. So it'll keep moving down, and that's it, only a few will hit. Because the reason it's doing it is every time one hits it, it says, okay, move down, on whichever's hit it, as you can see. So only them two hit that one. Now only these 4 will hit that one. And it'll keep going like that, and that's not what we want. But if we set it as a static variable, they all don't move. So if we get rid of that, and this one here, all the way up here, and they go down here, what we can actually do is create a new function called move down. And in this function, we're going to type var, and I'm going to call it enemies. And what we need to do is find a way to collect every single enemy we've got. And this is really simple to do, because they've all been tagged as enemy, so it's really easy. So what we can do is type enemies equals game object dot find game object again with tag. And we've used this before. If not, basically all it's going to do is find whichever game object whichever object in game object has got the tag of whatever we set. We want it to be enemy. So we'll say find game object with tag enemy. So anything with the tag of enemy will be added to this as an array. And now all we need to do is run a for loop to literally loop around every single enemy and move them down. It's a lot easier. So down here if we type for var I in enemies, that's on, in enemies. And what that basically means, for every, because it's called for each actually, so for each I, or for each variable inside enemies. So for each entity inside enemies, call it entity. So for each entity inside enemies, then what do we want to do? Literally move it down. So we need entity dot transform dot position dot y minus equals 0.5. So what it'll do is for every entity in the enemies, move that entity down by 5. Well, minus 0.5. Really easy to do. So if we just paste it under both of these, so we still need it there. So every time it hits a wall, they'll go move down. For every entity, move down. For every entity, move down. And it'll keep doing it really, really quickly. So every time it hits it, it'll go. So the reason it's glitching is because of a simple error. Very, very simple. What we need to do is instead of put GameObject.find GameObject with tags, we need GameObjects. We need to find multiple ones. If you just put one, it'll only find one thing. And then it's saying a for loop for only one object, that's not going to work. So now it should move every single enemy down successfully. So when we click play, when one hits the wall, they will all move down. And then when another hits the wall, they will all move down. Click. As you can see, works perfect. And they still are shootable, as you can see. So, obviously we need a longer game, of course. So, what I'm actually going to do is make them move 0.1, and then I'm going to move all the rows up, because it's too down at the moment. So, up a bit. Because we need room for the boss to come through, which we will hopefully be doing. So when we click play, now they should move really slowly down. Click. As you can see, they're coming together now. Perfect. So, let's implement the speed feature to it. Now, for those of you who don't know, when you kill a certain amount of enemies, their speed would increase and they'd start going much faster. And then when you get one, it'd be shooting across and you'd struggle to kill it. And it's really simple to do as soon as we've got our script handy. So, not on this one, because that's not got the enemy on. I'm going to close finish, and I'm going to go to enemy stats. So, enemy stats here has current enemies. Perfect. But SI enemy has their speed. So what I'm going to do is rename speed on SI enemy to static var underscore enemy speed. So every time it says speed here, which is twice, it's going to go to SI underscore enemy dot enemy speed. And the reason it's going to do this as a static / public variable is because then we can easily change the speed to make them faster. So in SI stats, when it says here current enemies equals 0, let's change it. So if current enemies equals, let's see, what should we have? 10. If it equals 10, then SI enemy dot current speed plus equals, well, we'll say equals 4. So they'll speed up by 1 if it equals 10. Then we'll duplicate it and put else. So if it equals 5, then they're going to equal to 5, so they're quite fast now. But then if it equals 1, we're going to say equals 8. So this guy's going to be shooting across. In fact, we'll say 6, keep it even. And then else, if it equals 0, you win. That's simple. That's it. And we've changed it. So we click play, and you should be able to see they'll speed up when we cut them down. So I've done a simple error, mistake, right here where it says SI dot enemy. It's not underscore, because that won't work. Of course it won't work, it's enemy. And have I done it on this one as well? Yes, I have. So make sure you don't put an underscore there, because that's wrong. So if we click play now, you should see them bouncing across. And then they should move down. And then as more as we shoot, or as we change, they'll speed up. So there, working at normal speed. Now when they come back across, I'll set it to 10. So as you can see, they're faster now. 5, even faster. And 1, they are the fastest they will go. So as you can see, you win. That's because I changed the main game. But imagine just 1 going really fast, so that's that bit done. So, now it's time to actually make the boss. Now again, I haven't made the boss, but we're going to cheat and do it and make it look really cool. So I'm going to take this alien at the top here, and I'm actually going to duplicate him and bring him out. And we'll call this boss. I'm not using this for boss, so don't worry. What I'm actually going to do is bring him up, and I'm going to rotate him 180 inside his body. Here, so rotate him, just like that. Just so it looks even. I'll rotate it around as well. So we're just trying to position him roughly 180. So 90, we'll change this to minus 180. Like so. So he's upside down now, we can see that. But what I am going to do is duplicate his entire innards again and bring him across. Just so it looks like so. Because then if we look back at this, you can see he's got 2 platforms. Well, or 2 guns if you like. Even though he doesn't fire bullets. But yeah. So then what I am going to do after that is go to our player here and duplicate him. Then bring him all the way up. And we're making our own enemy because that's cool and everybody does it. So leave me alone. But we're going to go to character controller and delete pretty much everything off of the player we don't need. Like so. And we'll call this player body. Yeah. And I'll stick him inside boss. Then I'll rotate body to 0 so he's upside down, and I'll put him on top. So you want to make it pretty much look as good as possible. Like so. So if we drag it across, get these enemy parts. So body, bottom feet, so anything that's not selected here. We'll drag across just to make it look better. And I'll put it roughly there. Yeah, that'll do. I like that one. And then we'll grab the rest. So the ones what are in blue, because they're not prefabs anymore. Wrong one, that one. We'll drag it across again. And block up that area. So, I'm going to grab all lot of it and make it green. So, where's our player? There. Ship. Well, it's not going to be green, it's going to be red. So I'm going to duplicate the materials and call it boss. It doesn't matter really where it goes. But I am going to drag it down and put it in our Space Invaders. Colour it red. That's black. I said red. So I don't want this texture on. So I'm going to get rid of it. And it'll just be red. So what I can do is select every single one of these. So make sure you get everything inside it. And I'm going to stick the boss texture on it. So if you select them all, you can drag the boss texture on, and we'll have a red boss. So from far away, don't forget, it looks like a normal boss. They don't know we've modified it. So what I'm going to do is click the boss, and I'm actually going to expand the box collider to actually fit it, otherwise we get an error. So I'm going to drag this one to the centre. Okay, I'll leave that one where it is. I'll drag the scale, and I'll leave that one where it is again. Drag the excess scale then. And I'll put the X scale roughly where it needs to be, about there, a bit bigger. Change the Z axis so it's taller, because we need it to fit it obviously, and that'll do. So we click play, there's our enemy. Really, really, really simple. So what I am going to do is put it here, and what we need him to do is basically move across, don't we? That's it. Really simple again. So I'm going to open up our SI enemy script. And above here, I'm going to type var is boss will be a boolean equal to false. So, because this is on every single one of them, they will equal to false, they won't be true. But if we tick it true on the boss, then that means we can activate special code for him. There, so he's a boss now. What I am going to do is just drag him off screen for a minute. We'll move him eventually. And all I'm going to do, put on function update, is if boss equals, well, if is boss equals true, then what we need him to do is type transform dot position dot x plus equals 0.5. So if it equals the boss, he's going to keep moving across and across and across and across. Easy enough. But what we can do is grab enemy speed here and put divided by 2. So whatever the enemy speed is, this boss is going to be slower because he was always slower than the rest. And then for everything else we can type if is boss equals false, so we can put this exclamation mark after. So if boss equals false, then all this won't do whatever the boss says. So if you think about it like this, you give 2 files to 2 people. On one of them is you are the boss, one of them is not. Then you give them the same acting script, and you say the boss reads out this line, the is not boss reads out this line, and that's what it's going to do. So everyone who's ticked is not boss will do this, but if it is ticked is boss, they'll do this. This will work for the exact same for both of them, which we need to change again. So here we'll type if exclamation mark is boss, so if they don't equal is boss, don't bounce off the walls, otherwise we'll get an error with it. And then move down again, we don't need to do it. Pretty much. Maybe for the enemy we do. So we'll type if is boss. In fact, no, we'll leave it. We'll see what happens. So if we click play, you should see this enemy move across. Hopefully. So if we click it and wait for a little bit, our game view, you can see he's gone. He's gone. Completely. He's moving the wrong way, that's why. So we need to dramatically slow him down. So what I'm going to do is say instead of divided by 2, divide by 4, but minus equals, because we're taking him the wrong way. So we need him to move the correct way, else we're going to get an error again. So he's now going to move towards us, hopefully. Hopefully slower as well. So you will see that he's not moving at all. He's not moving at all. So I'm going to manually change the speed then if it doesn't like it to 1. Because clearly he's not wanting to do anything, the lazy person. Well, it certainly did work, but a little bit too fast. So I'm going to change it to time.delta time times 60. So he should move a lot slower now. Every second he should move across. Obviously it shouldn't look jerky either, because a minute ago he was gone within a flash. And he was gone again. So let's change it to 0.1, because clearly something's going wrong with this guy. So move again please. Slower as well, we don't need it moving fast. Ooh, there we are. Ding, 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 ding. So, it's working. He's also moving down, which we don't need. So I'm going to come down here, right here, and put brackets on. And I'll put, in fact, I got a better idea. Get rid of that, we don't need that. What we are going to do is grab our boss, move him down a little bit so he's not in the life, and I'm going to rename him to something else. So I'm going to call him enemy boss. That's it. So he's going to be tagged completely different, but he'll work the exact same. So we need to take his speed down again, because he's still too fast. So we'll say 0.01. So now it should move slowly across, because he's not meant to be the fastest. But what we need to do is make sure when we hit him, it gives you double points, of course. So, you'll see he'll start to come across in a minute. So this is the thing, he'll be randomly moving across. But what we're going to do is actually change his tag to enemy boss, otherwise it'll be pointless. Now he shouldn't move down at all. As you can see, he's not moving down now. Perfect. So we're going to drag him across a little bit. As you can see, now we've got to try and get him. But it won't work, because he's not enemy boss, he's not tagged enemy. So obviously he needs to be a bit faster as well. So we need to play with this guy to make him real good. So now he'll move, but we need to make sure he gets hit, of course, otherwise it'll be pointless. So I'm going to go to SI bullet colliders, and right here, if game object equals that, then it'll tag, pretty much. So I'm going to duplicate the enemy one, and put else. And if it equals enemy underscore boss, and the reason I'm tagging them is because then we can use them in the real game too. I'm going to give you 1,000 points if you manage to hit him. Current enemies minus equals 1. I'm not going to do that because we don't need it, and it'll carry on. Easy. So now, when we click play, if we can get him, it'll give us 1,000 points. Otherwise, it'll leave it, and then he'll not come back again, because I've never really seen him come twice in one game. So if we wait here for him to come, he's there, so let's shoot him. Oh no, is he going to escape? Oh my god, he might actually escape on my own game. No! Got him. 1,000 points, and he's gone. Perfect. So that works really well. We've got the boss. Now what we need to do is make it so when these enemies move down enough, it kills us. So how are we going to do that? It's really simple, again. So we've already know how to do it. So what I'm going to do is go to SI enemy. And on trigger enter here, it doesn't equal boss. So I'm going to duplicate this else bit here. And I'm going to type the name of our base bit pretty much. So base 4 is home block. So if call.gameObject.name equals home block, then it needs to destroy that block. So destroy call.gameObject. So if they hit the home base, it'll begin taking the home base out, which it's meant to do in the original game. So tick, 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 it'll get rid of it. So that'll destroy our home block. Perfect. Now how do we make us lose if it hits us? Now this is really, really easy again. We're going to duplicate the exact same line, call it player, and not destroy it, but we're going to take his health down, which is if we go to enemy bullet collisions and it hits player, it destroys him. No, that's the wrong one. Current health here, we're going to grab that and stick it right there, but instead of 1, we'll say 5. In fact, 3. I was going to do, 3. So if it hits the player, it kills him straight away. Easy enough, isn't it? So let's try it. So I'm going to grab every single one from the inspector and just move them down a little bit. So row 5, in fact we'll just grab row 5. So he's moving down on the z-axis, so we'll say, actually I don't know which row he's moving down on. So grab row 1 and just move them down. Is it working still? Yes. Row 1, come here. There. So as you can see, as they hit it, it will begin to slowly take out our base when they hit it. As you can see, it is definitely taking our base out now. Perfect. But then when they hit the player, they should begin to die. Well, we should begin to die. I probably shouldn't hit them. Come on, hit me. So, any minute now, they're going to actually come in and hit us. I'm trying to stay out of the way of bullet fire. So as you can see, they're not hitting us yet, and as soon as they hit us, you see, we're dying over and over again. But it's not killing us. Why? So we need to have a look at why it's not killing us. And if we go back to our SI stats, the reason it's not is it's saying if it equals 0. We need to say if it equals less than -1. Or, and then we can put or here, or current health equals 0. So what this will do is say if we equal 0, then kill us, okay? But it hit 0 so fast that it instantly skipped and we didn't get it. So now it'll say if it's less than -1, then it should kill us. So what I'm going to do is literally put this guy literally right here. So as soon as he begins moving, we're pretty much dead. Then if it doesn't load, we need to reverse the sign, then it will load. Perfect. Retry. So you got no way to win that one. So what we can do is put him back, and now we've pretty much got nearly a finished Space Invaders game. So we can kill him. We need to make sure, we need to put a delay in between our level, pretty much. But for the boss, I need to speed him up. Well, bring him further away, because I don't want him coming in so quickly. So I'll put him roughly there. So it'll take his time, but then he'll eventually get there. You'll see him, you'll try to shoot him, then he'll carry on. So, quick recap on what we've done. You click the console, it boots up. So, it loads. You're in Space Invaders. You kill them, and you can win. If we go to our main camera, and current enemies to 1, There you go, really fast, you shoot them, click, you win. Click quit, it quits the level. I shouldn't have done that. And that loads our proper level, as you can see. Perfect. So, that's all we're going to do for this tutorial. If you've got any more suggestions on you want me to do anything into it, like maybe the enemy plays a different sound, or the a shop, I don't know, you can post the comments below. If no one does, I'm just going to roll over the subject. Really, really basic principles. I've showed you how to make a really good old-fashioned game really easily. The only hard part was the enemies, but that's not really a bother. Thank you for watching, I really hope you liked it. Everything was so simple. It's how you do it in nearly every language, timers and stuff to move on. Thank you for watching, please thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you wish, but please tell me why you've done it at least. Join my Facebook group. I also have Twitter now if anybody wants to join that. I'm still getting used to it though. And I'll see you next time.